expected to hear from them at any moment now. That's why our cameras were rolling when those two young teenagers were handcuffed and put in a police car. We were told that they're persons of interest. There are still no suspects named at this point, but we will be asking those questions about what happened to those two teenagers, and we are hoping to get an answer about that today.
We are starting in 1 minute.
1 minute.
Exactly. That was the last update that we got, that they're in fair condition, thankfully, here. We just got a 1 minute warning. So we will be asking them about those two girls as well. Hopefully answering all these questions for
45
you, or
seconds.
at least some of them, and we'll bring it to you as soon as we have it. Back to you guys.
Mm-hmm. 30 seconds.
30 seconds.
Go ahead. 20 seconds.
20.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Director Tom Hackney.
Good afternoon. Yesterday afternoon around 4 p.m. over near Ringhaver Park on Jacksonville's west side, which is in the 5100 block of 118th Street, a Duval County School Board bus was transporting students from 3 different alternative schools: Grand Park, Maddie Rutherford, and James Weldon Johnson. As the bus stopped at Ringhaver Park, one male from outside of the bus opened fire at the bus. He is now identified as 16-year-old Edgar Robles. He's 5'6", 140 pounds, and medium complected. He is a Hispanic male, but appears to be an African-American descent. He is yesterday wearing silver shorts and blue Nike tennis shoes. And if you look at the photographs to my left and to my right, these are provided to detectives from the suspect's mother. Suspect at this time is still outstanding, but an arrest warrant for him has been issued for 2 counts of attempted murder and 1 count of throwing deadly missiles. Yesterday afternoon, this incident occurred, and 2 16-year-old girls on the bus were hit as a result of this gunfire. They are both 16 years old. One of them was shot in the left cheek. It appeared to be a through-and-through gunshot wound that exited the right side of her face on her other cheek. The other girl was shot directly in the back of her head. These 2 girls were not intended targets in this shooting. As it stands now, these 2 girls are being treated at an area hospital and are in stable condition. However, they're still in the hospital. The little backstory that went behind this whole incident, where there were 2 males on the bus that had a beef with some other males. The beef was related to an individual who went to Ed White High School last year, but was killed in a traffic crash sometime within the last year. The beef that the 2 groups had were over disrespectful talk about the deceased male. So outside the bus, the suspect and 2 of his friends agreed to fight the 2 suspects on the bus. So you got 3 outside the bus and 2 inside the bus, or on the bus, who agreed to have a fight over this disrespectful talk. The suspects outside the bus actually made contact with individuals on the bus who gave them a turn-by-turn location of where the bus was, so they knew where it would stop and when it would be there. The suspect and his 2 friends who were waiting, as the suspect, Robles, pulled a gun, his 2 friends that were waiting there with him to fight realized that there was something more sinister with his motives, and they left the scene before the shooting occurred, or as the bus pulled up and the shooting occurred. So as the bus stops, the suspect outside Robles begins yelling at the suspects inside the bus, or the victims inside the bus, to come out so they can complete their fight and settle their beef. The suspect was outside the bus when an unknown person from inside the bus spit out of the window and hit the suspect. That obviously angered Robles quite a bit as he took the .380 handgun he had in his possession and fired 5 shots at the bus. At or about that same time, the alert bus driver sees the suspect, knows about what's going on, and sees a gun in the suspect's hand. She's able to floor the bus and begin to leave the scene at about the same time the suspect starts shooting. The 5 shots were fired. 3, we believe, hit the bus. Two of the girls were hit and another one struck the bus. Not sure what happened with the other 2 rounds. The suspect fled the scene on foot. He spent, what we're learning now, after detectives from our Violent Crimes Task Force have spent the evening and still into this morning working this case, he spent the afternoon trying to elude police and destroy the evidence from this case. Again, the warrant was issued late this morning in the system. We have detectives out now actively trying to locate Mr. Robles. Mr. Robles' mother was cooperative. She was found and contacted. She was the one who provided us with the pictures and with permission to use his photographic image to seek him. I obviously have to consider Mr. Robles as armed and dangerous. His propensity towards violence and his willing to use it was severe. The flashbang that occurred there at the scene that caused him to fire is obviously part of what his short temper is. I would hope that anybody who would have information about Mr. Robles' whereabouts can pick up the phone and call us and let us know. The sooner he's off the streets, the sooner the citizens of Jacksonville are safe. They can remain anonymous when they do that, calling Crime Stoppers at 1-866-845-TIPS, or they can call the Sheriff's Office at 630-0500, remaining anonymous. Again, he is considered armed and dangerous. Our detectives have found no gang affiliation with any of the parties that we have involved in this. The 2 intended suspects on the bus are not gang members. Certainly the 2 innocent victims who were shot are not gang members, and Mr. Robles is not a gang member either. However, his blatant disregard for life and his reckless behavior with dire unintended consequences is shocking and alarming to myself, to the community, and to all members of the public out there. You know, the incident that occurred, thankfully, if you can say thankfully to anything, thankfully that this was a very small caliber handgun and of a .380 caliber nature. Probably the only reason that we don't have 2 dead 16-year-old girls. The shot placement of these 2 shots is scary, and the fact I believe that it was a .380 caliber handgun is the only reason that these were not fatal wounds. I can take some questions if anybody has them. Jim?
I'm Jim Shelton from the Times-Union. Can you spell the name of the suspect, please, for us?
It's Edgar, E-D-G-A-R, Robles, R-O-B-L-E-S.
And he's a 16-year-old?
16-year-old Hispanic male.
Director, any idea where he may be? Are there certain spots that he frequents? Does he hang out with a certain group?
From conversations with his mother, he doesn't spend a whole lot of time at home. He kind of flitters about the west side, spending the nights with different friends in different places. We are actively going through that information now to check that. We've checked numerous locations this morning, all to no avail. I was hoping that by this new news conference I would have some other information about his apprehension, but as it stands now, we don't have any good information.
Would you call this a manhunt?
Easily call this a manhunt, but I would hesitate to call him a man.
Tom, the 2 people, if I understand correctly, there were 3 people outside the bus, Robles, and there were 2 others, is that correct?
That is correct.
And did all 3 of them flee?
Yes, the two that weren't armed, that were there just to fight, when they realized what Robles' intent was, they left the scene.
And have you made contact with them?
We've made contact with them. They've been extremely cooperative with the investigation. At this time, we are not looking to charge them with anything.
Are those the 2 young men that we saw yesterday evening in handcuffs taken for questioning?
I don't know who you saw, but I would have to assume that that's logical.
We were somewhere on the west side, not me personally, so I can't. But we had crews on the west side. I think all media outlets, at least all TV outlets, caught JSO putting two young men into the back of cruisers in handcuffs, saying taking them to question.
Again, it's hard to know, but I can tell you that the numerous detectives from our Violent Crimes Task Force were out on the scene. We're working through the information, and that may have been what was seen. Yes, ma'am.
Tom Lorena with Action News. Could you explain again what may have triggered him to shoot? You said something, I heard you say something about somebody spitting at him or a flashbang. Could you talk about that?
You know, the whole incident really stems from something that happened years ago, and this just highlights some of the idiotic behavior of a beef and disrespectful talk a year ago that leads to violent behavior, violent, reckless behavior today or yesterday. I don't know if, when I mentioned the flashbang of the spitting being the thing that may have been the tipping point of what happened, and it's hard to say what really tripped that off. Obviously, he went there with the firearm with the intent to do more than fight. So,
was it one of the two people on board who had been affiliated with the Ed White High Schooler that spit, or was it somebody still else?
I don't know. I'm not sure if we will ever know who was the one who spit off the bus, but I know that there were two individuals on the bus who we've spoken to as well that were part of this group that were going to have a fight.
And
Director
were
Hackney.
they the friends of the Ed White team, or were the people outside the bus the friends of the
I'm
Ed
not
White team?
100% sure as to that.
You mentioned that the mother of the teen was very cooperative.
Yes, the mother of the teen was cooperative. When she learned of her son's involvement, she worked to try to help us locate where he could be, provided that information to us, provided these photographs to us. She's equally shocked, as we all are, about this kind of reckless behavior.
Does he have any priors? Was he a dropout, or do you know if he attended any school?
The last school that he attended was Ed White, but I don't know had he been regularly attending that.
Does he have any priors? Has he been in trouble before?
I can't say that he has any priors. Understand that juveniles with misdemeanor arrests, that's confidential information, and if he had that, I couldn't mention that. So,
Who actually identified him as the suspect? Was it the intended target on the bus? Was it the two other boys that were originally part of the scheme?
we had multiple identifications of him once we've kind of got the story sorted out and made our way through that.
And did they come forward to you, or did you have to find them?
We had to do a little work with this. You know, these are, as I mentioned, this is alternative schools, and those who go to alternative schools are some of the disciplinary problems throughout the Duval County School Board system. When that bus ended up stopping where the bus driver called 911, several people fled that bus, and I don't know if they were scared that more things were going to happen or scared of the police involvement or what, but it took a little bit of work for these detectives to find the people that we were looking for and get immediate compliance.
Tom, I'm sorry if you already mentioned this, but did his mom give any indication of how he may have gotten this gun?
No, she had no clue.
So we don't know how he obtained
I don't
this
know
gun.
how he obtained it, and I have to assume now that he would still be armed.
Do you have
This
every
is a
reason?
disrespect shooting. Again, we had this with Prashana Davis, which started the whole situation in 2006. The same thing. Are you kind of disgusted by this? What do you think?
The erratic, irrational behavior that I'm going to fight you over disrespectful talk, and that in order to settle this, I'm now bringing a gun, and then recklessly throwing bullets around. It's incomprehensible that we've reached a level in society that's how we're going to solve our disputes.
You mentioned that you found evidence that he was trying to destroy evidence through the evening. Can you elaborate on what that means?
Some of the talk that we got from working through that was that he may have been trying to get rid of the gun, but we weren't able to confirm that he did get rid of the gun or pieces or parts of the gun. So that's why, again, I'm going to leave it that he still has the gun, and if you see him, I would recommend against approaching him.
Do you have every reason to believe he's still in Jacksonville?
Yeah, he doesn't have a driver's license, has no identification. It would be hard for him to get somewhere else now. Anything's possible.
Tom, so the two teens that were with Robles are the ones that had the beef with the two boys on the bus, is that correct? Or did Robles, was he part of that group?
It is.
Yes.
Robles was, all three of them had a beef?
Yeah, they all kind of working in concert together to settle this beef with those on the bus and those outside the bus.
And the beef, the teens on the bus, are they the ones who are allegedly had the disrespect towards the people that the three outside the bus knew?
That's kind of what Stephanie asked. I'm not really sure as to what side was trying to settle this disrespectful beef, but that's what this whole thing was about. So as we go through this more, maybe Mr. Robles, once he's in custody, can give us some of that information. But it is shocking for parents of kids who are on a school bus that this happened. You know, just the whole thing and the way that unfolded yesterday afternoon. Thank God that again, like I said, that this was a small caliber handgun. It's hard to say. Thank God that it was, but it could be so much more tragic than it is. My prayers, thoughts go out to these two young girls in their recovery.
The traffic accident, do you know anything more about that? When that occurred? Who was the victim? Do we know anything about that at all?
I really don't.
But it happened last year, is that right?
It's supposed to happen within the last 12 months.
And then the shots that were fired at the bus, where did they go? Did they hit the, you may have said this, I'm sorry. Did they go through the windows, through the body of the bus? Do you know where they hit?
I'm not 100% sure how they made it into the bus, but they were, the shots were being taken as the bus was pulling away. So.
Okay.
We're getting calls of a big police presence right now at Moncrief and New Kings. Is that anything related to this, with possibly finding this?
I don't want to speculate. I don't know what could be happening now. I know that there's quite a few detectives who are out still working through the details of the case, but also out working to locate Mr. Robles and take him into custody. So it could be, but then again, you don't know.
Tom, have you guys had a chance to talk to the kids on the bus who were giving Robles and the other kids a turn by turn on where the bus was going? Have you guys spoken to them?
Yeah, we've talked to almost everybody on the bus, and again, some levels of cooperation were better than others, but we've worked through some of that, and that helped us figure out. But I think there was some thoughts, just like the two that were with Robles, that this was going to be a fight, and that again.
So as it stands right now, there's no indication that anybody other than Robles knew that he was going to be.
No, we have no indication anybody else had any idea that this was going to be a shooting other than him.
You don't know if the Ed White student that was killed was Tyreek Grant?
I don't know, and as we work through it, if I find that to be relative, I can get that to you, but I don't know, to be honest with you, Joe.
JSO's had a focus on youth violence over the past few weeks and months here, especially as we're looking closer to summer. I mean, do our initiatives need more time to sink in? Are they being effective? When you see teens behind the gun, teens at the other side.
Yeah, it's when the sheriff, I think it was it last week or the week before that he started with his Operation Pi to try to deal with some issues that we're having like this, and this is the age group that we're looking at to address this. Would he fit the criteria that the sheriff established? I don't really know. Yeah, it's hard to say, but the folks that are in that age group that are doing this, he's not a gang member. Is he ripe for picking to be a gang member? You would have to assume that maybe so. But again, that's our focus and drive to address the violence by dealing with the youth is based on prevention of things just like this from happening.
We did see police escorts this morning with school buses. Will you guys continue that?
You may have seen that through some of the Duval County School Board Police. They have been very cooperative with this investigation so far, and helping us make our way through identification of people on the bus and those kind of things. It's been a real joint effort there.
But is this what it's come down to? We're going to have to escort the school buses from here on out until, I guess, the foreseeable future?
That would be something that the school board would have to address, and Dr. Vitti as to what his thoughts and plans would be for that. You hate when you say what it comes down to. It's a isolated incident that with direct knowledge, had this been some random thing and a drive-by shooting of a bus, it would be one thing, but this, obviously, Mr. Robles knew what he was doing and knew what they were trying to do. So thankfully it's not a random act. Thankfully it is what it is. I truly can't say how lucky we are that these two girls are not murder victims today.
Director Hackney, the message to teens who think they can settle a beef with gunplay?
Don't. I can't emphasize enough that there are other ways and other means to settle disagreements. I would even say that a fist fight isn't the way to do it. But certainly when you involve gunplay into that, there's no good outcome to that. And these two young girls today are proof positive that there's no good outcome for that.
Director, the driver in this case, and there was reports that he had sort of seen these teens look suspicious and kept driving. Would you say that him continuing to drive may have saved lives here?
Oh, yeah, kudos to the bus driver for being kind of aware of what's going on and seeing this and you know, not panicking, trying to get himself and the kids he's there to get home safely out of that area. So,
How many shots hit the bus actually, or did go in? Do you know the 5 shots? You may have said this again. But
three. I can account for 3 shots. 1 into the bus, 2 into the girls, and then I'm not sure about the other 2.
Oh, so each girl was hit one time?
Yes, each girl was hit 1 time.
Where were they sitting? Do you know?
I don't
Any
know.
proximity?
I have no idea.
They're expected to survive, Director, but still they might have permanent facial and head.
There's no telling what their physical scars will be, nor what their emotional scars would be after being subjected to something like this. It's very scary, very sad, and a sad turn of events.
Any other questions?
This is from some pastors on social media that wanted me to ask, do you think that some sort of 90-day voluntary curfew would work in this? I know that this happened during the day, but you know, people are wondering if some sort of curfew, what's the remedy for this?
The remedy for this is to not act in a violent manner. I mean, that's the remedy for all these things, is to not act in a violent manner. A voluntary curfew or an involuntary curfew doesn't necessarily solve the problem when violence is your intent. And violence by any means, but especially that of a gun, is no way to live.
I know you said he's a roamer. He doesn't really stay anywhere, but you know his last known address?
I can get that for you, but I'm not sure.
You saw so many people on social media outraged by this, family members, you know, mothers, parents. What do you say to them about seeing this type of violence in their home, Jacksonville?
You know, when you talk about parents involvement with their children, parents being aware of where their kids are, what they're doing, who they're talking to, who they're hanging out. You know, I mentioned in a press conference before that, you know, when you hang out with dogs, you get fleas. Be aware of of where your kids are hanging and who they're hanging with, and keep them from getting in situations like this. Talk to them, hug them, love them, show them that you care. All right. Thank you all very much.
Thank you.